You want that perfect event launch. The type that fills your calendar, brings in qualified leads, and runs so smoothly. You know, the type some people make look and seem so effortless. But yours isn't turning out to be perfect. You're having problems. It feels so chaotic and hard to do by yourself. So why does everything feel so overwhelming? Why did delegating the event tasks to your VA make it worse? Why aren't your leads converting? Why is it that when you try to scale, it falls apart? Chances are, because of what's happening after the lead comes in. In other words, it's how you're handling your back end. And that's what we're unpacking today. In this episode, we'll be looking at how your back end, not your marketing, might be your biggest bottleneck. I'm your host, Joe Sales Jr. Welcome to Flip Your Marketing Flops, the digital marketing and lead generation podcast. Welcome to Flip Your Marketing Flops, the podcast, providing weekly episodes of presentations, interviews, and conversations with marketing professionals and industry experts discussing common marketing mistakes and how to prevent them. If you're an entrepreneur, local service-based business owner, small business marketer, or a new digital marketing professional, and you don't normally have access to insider marketing knowledge, then this podcast is for you. My purpose is to teach you the hacks, tips, and secrets that will prevent common marketing mistakes, saving you both time and money. Welcome to Flip Your Marketing Flops, the podcast. I'm your host, Joe Sales Jr., and today we're diving into a problem that many business owners don't even realize is holding them back. You might think your marketing isn't working. Well, what if the real issue is your back-end systems, your workflows, or even the people you've hired to support your business? Today I'm joined by Elisa Bogarts, founder of Launch Partner Pro, where she helps coaches and entrepreneurs build scalable businesses by hiring the right tech professionals and putting the right systems in place. She specializes in helping business owners to avoid costly hiring mistakes and create the kind of operational support that actually fuels growth instead of slowing it down. Elisa, welcome to Flip Your Marketing Flops. Elisa, welcome to the program. Am I saying your name correctly?
Yes, Elisa, that's right. Thank you. You can say my name about 5 different ways, so.
First of all, I've met you through a colleague, Summer Diaselva, and when we first met, we got a chance to learn a little bit about you, and I remembered that you were into helping others with their events and launching and things of that nature. So I've been dying for the opportunity to interview you here, and I'm glad to have you on the show today.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, so how did you get started helping people with their launches?
Yeah, it was an interesting kind of journey. So I've been in project management for 16 years, and I did that in corporate. But back in, I think it was back in 2011 or 2012, I was introduced to coaching, and I totally fell in love with it. And it was always something I was thinking I would like to do at some point. And well, I guess I kind of put it on the back burner for a while. And then when COVID hit, you know how like sort of everybody rethought their lives. And I remember thinking, oh, like I'm not loving corporate anymore. And, I was like kind of changing companies a little bit. And I was like, oh, you know what? I think it's the job. And I don't think I love doing this anymore. So I went and got my life coaching and my health coaching certification. And so I was kind of doing the business on the side, but I was taking some programs, and throughout the programs, like I was learning to launch myself. I was doing all of my own launches. And in doing so, I created my own plans and, my own templates and all these kinds of things. And in some of the programs I was in, it was noticeable that I was taking all the action and doing all the things, but many of the people in my cohort were not. And so I was talking about it with a fellow coach, and she was like, well, I think maybe because people don't really know what to do. They don't know all the steps, or maybe they do, but they're kind of overwhelmed because there's so many. And also she's like, you could probably teach them that, And then I was talking with my business coach, and he's like, that is a great idea. You already do it. You already know how to do it. And I showed him my plan and he was like, I think you could even just sell your plan as is. So through that,
Uh,
I decided to pivot into it because I had, because I was a coach myself and I love coaching. I love coaching and I love coaches, but me coaching, I didn't feel it wasn't fully aligned and I just didn't feel super comfortable being the coach. So yeah, I decided to take my project management skills and my operation skills and bring them into the coaching world and help other coaches in that way. So yeah.
but you had so much experience, it's the right fit. It's funny when you come out of the corporate world because, again, I've been back and forth corporate world and freelancer, and when you're coming out of the corporate world, you see yourself a little bit differently than you do when you're in the entrepreneurial space because you realize that, in the corporate world, there's other people like you, and so
Mm,
there's a definite need for what you're doing.
thank you.
You
Yeah,
you
you're so right.
mentioned
There's like not many doers at all. I find that people are very big picture thinkers, they're ideas people, they're very
yes,
creative. They have they're
yes.
passionate about what they want to do, they want to help. But yeah, you try to tell them to run the business and do the operations and all the tasking. That's what they're like, oh, no thanks.
Yes. You have 2 books here
Mhm.
that you've done. I didn't look up your books, but what are your books about specifically?
I actually have them here. So one was a compilation book called The Voices of Women. So it was a summit that I was in. So it was all like our talks were kind of put into a compilation book. This has ended up being a bestseller on Amazon, which is pretty
Cool.
cool. And then my other one is called Change Your Life with Self-Confidence. And the confidence method is like the methodology that I used when I was a life coach. Because when I was a life coach, I was wanting to help people to confidently be themselves so they could do whatever they wanted in life. And I noticed like throughout my life, I did that a lot. I was like, "Well, I wanna go do this thing." So I would go do it, and people would call me brave, and they'd be like, "How are you doing those things?" And I was like, "I don't know." I'm like, "Maybe I should think about that."
Right?
But yeah, so that was what my life coaching was about. So when I knew I was sort of moving out of that, I was like, "Well, I don't want my program and methodology to kinda get lost?" So I decided to put it in a book. So each chapter is kind of like the different steps, and it's goes through the word confidence. So confidence becomes like an acronym. And yeah, so at least now, like, if I could help someone with my little book, then, at least all that knowledge isn't lost because 'cause I'm not practicing it anymore.
I'm on the way to my book. It's already being written. I'm the guy that did everything myself, still doing everything myself, trying to get away from doing everything myself. So,
Yeah.
one of the things that I hear you say, one of the things I remembered hearing you say, and the biggest thing that stuck out to me is you were one of the first people in this space of being an entrepreneur and a coach and all that that I heard say systems out of your mouth, not from like she has systems. No, it was you have systems. I have systems.
Mhm.
Immediately, I connected to like, okay, she understands behind the scenes, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And so the only thing then becomes, you know your system so well that at least for me, I forgot to take a glance and make sure I didn't miss any steps because I do have everything written down. And that's where I have messed up a little bit in our connection for today is I didn't follow my steps because I thought I got this and
Yeah,
I didn't.
right. I know even we have to follow our own
So I
processes.
For sure, and I'm usually really good. I have them up, and everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, you're so robotic," but it's because I'm regimented. I have it systematically done, and it's
Mhm.
just helpful so that I don't miss things. So back into being an entrepreneur, there's so many levers to pull that it's so easy to forget which lever that you need to pull without having it written down. At least for me. So,
Mhm. Me too.
so your podcast, I mentioned I actually got a chance to listen to a couple episodes, and then even visited your interview with Jessica. How do you say it,
Like
Lord?
scotch.
Koch. Got it, Koch. So I listened to part of that. I haven't finished that one, but I know I had that open on my screen here today. And
So,
anyway, the
thank you.
point is, how did you end up deciding to go into podcasts with what you do?
There was a coach I had, her name was Jennifer Grace, and she's very much like a life coach. She has this coaching catalyst course, and what she teaches is a clarity catalyst. So you get certified in that. And so I was kind of in her world a bit. And she would like teach you how to be a coach, like a life coach that way. And then she would have more programs for business. So, like once you're kind of established, like these are the things you can add on, like doing a book,
Right?
like speaking, like podcasting. And so she had like an event. It wasn't a summit, but it was sort of like an event. And I won her podcasting program. And I remember when I won it, I was like, "Oh, okay." So I actually ended up signing up for a couple of her other ones as well. So that year I ended up taking about
That's
5
it.
of her different courses, and the podcast one that I got for free, and I remember being like, "I don't even know if I wanna do a podcast." I'm like, "Ah, okay," but I got it. So, like, you know what? I'll do the course and we'll see where it goes.
What you were talking about on episode 103 was that
Yes.
what? Okay, somewhere I missed that in the connection because of messing with my dog.
I did the program, And then I kind of got into it, you sort of like started learning about it because she took you through all the steps. So it was like, oh, why, why do you want to be a podcast? What would it be about? Who would you want to interview on it and all these kind of things? And I started to get excited about it. And what I said in that episode 103, which was like my sort of anniversary kind of birthday episode, was I can't believe I've done over 100 episodes now, which is crazy because it's something I didn't even think I wanted. Yeah, the end of that program, I think it ended sort of early December. And everybody in the course was like, okay, we all want to do launch parties together and or we want to support each other's podcast launches. And so we
Right.
put together a calendar that went from, I think there's one person who did December and then every week January, every week February, and then every week March, where we scheduled in each other so we could all launch week by week by week. Everybody was like, I want to go first. I want to go first. And I was like, I don't really care. Like, whatever, I'll go last. Sure. So it was March 24th. I think I was like the last scheduled person. And only one other person in the whole class actually ended up launching besides me. And I remember being like, what? Like I could have done this in January. I could have been one of the first and actually done it. So yeah, it was sort of something that I just kind of like fell into and then decided to run with it. And yeah, have you heard like there's been sort of I'm in season 3 now of it. And I first started because I knew that again, then I was pivoting into being more like working with people and launches and on the business side, but I still love the coaching side. So the first season was all about life coaches. That was a lot of my guests. And it was like, how do you be your authentic self? So I brought on a lot because
Right.
I love that industry. So I was like, I just want to talk with these people. And then I've sort of pivoted now to be like, how can you be your authentic self in business? How can we be aligned with our values and in integrity, especially as we scale, and so that we don't lose ourselves and become one of the soul-sucking corporate companies, but we can, still be us in our own
Yeah.
businesses.
I just remember laughing in that video because I could kind of relate. I kind of was like, I could see that happening and nobody else doing theirs. So, let's transition then. This is a Flip Your Marketing Flop. So, with
Mhm.
what we do here in Flip Your Marketing Flops, we talk about marketing, any relation that everybody, all my guests are always going to either have a business, they're going to talk about how they generate leads, or they're going to talk about how they help others generate leads. What you do, I'm sure other people don't think of it as lead generation related up front, but it's definitely a lead generating activity.
Mhm.
So you help business owners get their events going and their programs rolling.
Yeah.
Um, what are some of the things that you do to help them get rolling with it?
Yeah, so you're right. So like the whole marketing side of it and lead generation is actually a majority of when you're launching a program and doing an event because you want to get the right people to your event so you can sell them into your program. And so a lot of the process that we go through at the beginning, which is why like, depending on the type of event they're doing, I might start working with them 6 months, 5 months, 4 months, 3 months before their event, depending on the size of it. And so the first thing I always talk to them about is, okay, do you have joint venture partners? Because they can help you with your marketing. They can email and social media to their audiences, right? So that gives you more reach. Let's get you on some stages. So especially if you're like paying to play, where you can actually maybe sell tickets on stage, you might have to book those months ahead of time. So you want to make sure that it
Right.
aligns right before you're on launch. So we talk about their speaking, about getting them on stages, and then we talk about their lead magnet. I'm like, okay, we need to like, yes, you have your own list that you can market to, but you also need to be bringing more people in. And yes, you can bring them in, like you could, on some of the speaking you can do, you can give your lead magnets. We talk about that. Like, is your lead magnets kind of up to date? Does it fit in the funnel well? That actually, like, if someone does that lead magnet, it leads to your event and so on and so forth. So, those are the things that we talk about at the very beginning. And then once that's kind of set up, and because even with their joint venture partners, some people, if you want to get on their marketing calendar, you got to ask them like 3, 4 months out. If you go and you
Yeah.
do them 2 weeks ahead of time, they're gonna be like, sorry, I can't help you. So you kind of want to get all that stuff done early and then get those leads coming in, get those stages booked, get those JV partners kind of scheduled in before you actually start doing the actual promotion of your event, which can be anywhere from, it could be from like 30 days to sort of 10 days before you start, depending on the
Right.
size of your event. So, yeah.
Do you find that a lot of the people that you're helping, when, when you get involved with them, they had no clue how much you had to do?
Yes, they have no clue. They look at my plans and I was I'm like, so my one that is that you could work doing sort of like 3 months or less, where you're doing like a 60-minute, say, webinar or masterclass, like a low ticket offer. That plan has like 260 tasks. I'm very detail oriented. Maybe you don't need to do all 260, but 'cause we go through that together because you don't have to do everything. But I like to have all the options there for people because every launch we customize. But yeah, they look at that and they're like, "What are you
They get
talking about?"
that look on their face like, "I don't know what you're talking about. I did not know I was going into all of this." And so then you're just
Mhm.
like, "No, no, I'm gonna handle it for you. I'm gonna handle it for you, but you should understand what's involved."
Yeah. So
Yeah,
someone comes to me 3 weeks before, I'm like, "Okay, we can do it, but as long as you're kinda not doing anything else but this, we can get it done."
I have the same experience. I've had people say they wanna run an ad for an event that they want it to be on this Saturday, and they wanna run it now. And I totally get it because on the other end, I'm the guy that does it myself. It's like, "Oh, man, well, how fast can I do this?" But
Mhm.
by the same token, I know what's involved because I've been only on the other side mostly.
Right.
It's funny how they just don't understand everything that's involved, and you have to see, what do you have in place already? So if everything's perfect on what you have to have in place for me to be able to help you, then we can do it fast. But if you don't have everything in place, then,
I like to give it to them in sort of weekly chunks, like, say we dwindle
Mhm.
it down to 200. You can't do 200 things in a couple of weeks, right? So you kinda need to space it out, and or else you're gonna be totally overwhelmed. You're gonna turn up, you're gonna be launching burnt out, and you don't wanna get to that place. So I always like to say to people, "Be kind to yourself, work on it little steps at a time, but give yourself enough time to do all those little steps so that it's, like, at a really nice pace," you know?
I broke do it this week. Don't wait till a minute before the class or a half hour before the class.
Yeah.
So you have a team behind you. What's the real impact of having the right team in place or the right tech support in place?
Yeah, I think it's so important, especially with what I do with the launching is that some of my clients like that, I feel like the common thing that I hear them say is that they're too much into the weeds of their business or they feel like they're
Mhm,
just keeping their head above water. And
mhm.
so there's so much going on. There's so many hats, there's so many plates spinning, all that kind of stuff. So when you are launching as that entrepreneur or that coach or whomever, you're the face of your business. So when we talk about marketing, like they are the ones they need to be visible and they need to be spending a lot of their time being out there, being the face, telling everybody about it in all the different channels so that they can, have the most successful launch they can have, the most people at their events. So they don't need to be or, don't need to be focused on all of that back end work because if they're doing that, they're kind of like facing the wrong way, if you will, right? They're in the back end, not in the front end, and they need to be
That's a
focusing
good
on being on the front end. So I think it's really important to have a team that can take all of that off of your plate and do it for you and a team that you can trust. And even, during your event, if you're doing a 1-day event or a 3-day event, you wanna have a team in there with you. I had a client where we had a producer and I was during the event and we had sales support and we had her like assistant actually physically with her in her house. And at one point, her internet crashed. She was in the
mhm.
middle of having like sort of a panel discussion and all of a sudden, boom, she was gone. So, by having the team there, we were able to kind of keep it going. We knew, kind of the questions that she was asking during that time and where we were in the schedule. So we were sort of able to hop in and keep it going while her internet got redone and she was able to come back on. And she was able to stay really, really calm because she knew she had the team there to back them up. Like it wasn't gonna all, crash and burn because like her internet went out for a few minutes. And so I think that's really the thing is that if you know you have this supportive structure that you can really just relax into it and yeah, be that face of your business and then show up to your event with that like energy. Cause if you show up and you're
Mhm.
exhausted, like especially in the coaching world, I think that, not many people are going to want to buy from some maybe
Yeah,
grumpy, exhausted coach. They want somebody that that they see their energy and they feel it. But if the energy is really tired and kind of subdued, then, or they're sort of trying to fake it or push it through, I just think that people can feel that. And so you really want to show up as your best self and deliver your best content to your people and get them into your program. So really that team supporting you. And one thing I noticed with some of my clients, which is now why I like to give a launch team as part of like the package that I have, because they would be like, "Oh, just use my VA." And I'm like, "Well, your VA is already doing all your business as usual, all your emails, your social media, your whatever, all the stuff to keep
you're
your business going,
everything.
and your current clients. They're doing all those reminders or whatever, like videos need to be published here and there and all the things that are happening." I'm like, "They're at capacity. They don't have time to, schedule in all this stuff and do all this extra stuff for a launch. So let someone else come in and do that for them, or else they will be burnt out." And then they'll start
Yep.
making mistakes, and then you'll have to get back into the weeds of your business.
So here's a good question from you since you're somebody who's always worked behind the scenes, how are you doing at facing the front of your business? Are you good at being the front face for your business now?
They don't love it, I have to say, but gotten a lot better
We're
at
in the same spot.
Yeah, I've gotten a lot better at it, I think, and it's really true what they say, with practice, things come a lot easier. Yeah, so I do speak a lot more than I used to, and I'm a lot more comfortable with it. I think before, like if I was doing a show like this, I would feel like I had to have like I would have my notes right underneath my camera, and I would have my sort of script, and I'd be kind of reading it because I would be like, I don't really know what I'm saying, but now I know what I do so well, and I feel so good about it, then I can just show up authentically and just have a conversation. But that came through practice. But yeah, I still actually I noticed this the other day. I was thinking about things like, oh, like sometimes, and I don't know if it's just coming out of corporate or what, but being an entrepreneur, I have kind of struggled with. And I think that some of it is to do with like content creation and teaching. I don't love teaching. I love to
Mm,
do the things. I'm like,
I'll be your partner, and I'll teach for you. You give me the content.
I don't like teaching, but so when I go with my clients, like I'm not teaching them how to put together their event, how to do their slides, how to sell, how to
Doing
speak
it.
from stage, how to like I don't teach them any of the how, but I like tell them like here like, we got to do all these things and this is the order we need to do them and here's all the things I need to get done and I'll go in the back end and because I know how to do all of that, but I don't want to teach anybody the tech either. So yeah, so I noticed that I was like, oh yeah, because a lot of entrepreneurs, that's what they're doing. They're teaching, they're coaching, they're delivering content and value. So yeah.
You just said something that just made me think.
Hmm.
You teach your techniques, well, through your book. They can find the steps that you use,
Right.
and you
Those are my
don't teach
coaching.
them directly. I was kind of relating it to what I'm doing. I don't teach you how to do Google Ads. I rarely teach you how to do SEO. I rarely teach you how to do what's on a website page. That's where my strength was, or is still, all
Hmm.
that. But what I did learn is because in the corporate world, we see certain things and we have so much more information allowed, and small business people don't, is that there was a disconnect. And the funny thing was, I was seeing corporates making the same mistakes as the smaller guys making the same mistakes. And I thought, you know what, I can systematize that enough so that they can learn how to do that themselves. But I don't need to teach all the other how to's. Somebody says, how do you do this? I said, I go to YouTube and I put in search, how do I do this? I don't have to know everything, but there are things that you're just not going to find the answers for. And so with what you do, having a team, having somebody with experience, having somebody that's a good guide, this is so powerful. I say this again because I'm one of the kind of people that should be hiring somebody like you. Now I'm not always in a position to do that, but when I am in a position to do it, this set of bags over here, I'm letting go. You can take those bags and take them and make them work because I don't. I have too many bags in my hands.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
so
It's all good. This has been a great conversation. I'm really enjoying it.
that's what I like. I do a lot better when I'm just have a conversation with somebody, but there's a couple things I wanted to make sure I hit here. Are you
Mhm.
helping people run events on Event Raptors?
I do help people with summits. And what I help with on that is, again, doing the back end setup, like all the landing pages and all that kind of things, and the email reminders and swipe copy and all that kind of stuff, and the herding of the cats of the speakers, like you were just describing, getting their forms. And even because, like you were saying, there's so many different ways you can do summit. You can do it live. You can do like pre-recorded
There it is.
interviews. You can just have them record, but all of it
Yeah.
requires gathering information, so even if you do the
Yes.
pre-recorded thing, you still need to be like, hey, I need the video, can you send it please, or hey, can you book it so we can do an interview together, or like doing the whole schedule and getting their forms and their information, and then you're on Zoom all day long interviewing people. So yeah, there's kind of pros and cons to all of them, but yeah, so I do help people with summits, but not with event manager, but it is a great tool. They do a lot of that kind of back end for you depending on which tier you kind of buy. They do a lot of that setup for you so you can just kind of have fun and interview people.
Yeah, that makes sense. I got some questions now. I want to go to the fact that since this is Flip Your Marketing Flop, so it's about mistakes. What would you say are the top three mistakes that the people you deal with are coming across or are making?
So I think one is not starting early enough, like we talked about
You
earlier,
mentioned that.
not getting on those stages early and JV partners and all that kind of stuff. I think there's lots of missed opportunities there and bringing new people into their world. So when promoting their event, I have a list of about like 30 different ways that you can promote your event and be visible. And so what I've kind of noticed is that people sort of prefer the passive way. They might be kind of like you and me, they don't love being visible. And so they just rely on email marketing and social media, which is great. You want to do those definitely, but that's not enough. You can't just rely
Yeah.
on those 2 things if you wanna get a lot of people to your event, and I know the clients that I did have that only sort of relied on that, I tried to encourage them, and we even went through the list, and they're like, "Yes, we're gonna do these things," and they didn't do them in time, that they didn't have as many people at their events as they wanted to, and therefore they didn't get as many sales because there's sort of a typical conversion rate, and so, if you only get 10 people there, the amount of people signing up is really gonna be quite low.
You get 10 people there, what's your conversion rate, you know?
Well, it's
That could be fun.
usually, yeah, maybe 10%, so you might get, like, 1 person. Some
Yeah.
events, it's only, like, 5%, so you get, like, half a person. Just
You think of the numbers. In fact, I always have to stop myself when I'm working with coaching and because I'm like, there's not such a thing as 1.3 people. So, you know.
exactly.
So, in your business, what's been your biggest marketing flop?
Ooh. You know what I think it was is that for a year, I did monthly webinars, and I did the same one kinda over and over again. And I was able to get people to some of them I had no shows, so I wasn't doing all the marketing I needed. I was also being kind of passive in that. But I didn't sort of crunch the numbers after each one and realize that the clients I was getting was not through my webinars. And so they weren't
Mm,
converting. And I think what it was is that I was taught a way to do, I called it more a master class, but I was taught the way to do it and have the slides and kind of this is like the flow, the way it needs to go. And I don't think I felt comfortable in doing that. So I would kind of was a bit of a robot. And I was sort of going through the slides and like reading the script and kind of going through it. And I don't think it ever really felt natural to me. I wasn't telling stories. I wasn't being entertaining. I wasn't being funny. I wasn't being myself through it because I was just sort of being like, this is the way it needs to go because this is what converts. And it just didn't come across well and people didn't buy. So that was my biggest thing. And I think now, like, I mean, a lot of my way of getting clients has been through networking a lot, but I do want to start doing the monthly master classes or workshops again. And I think that's the biggest sort of lesson I learned is that I really want to be more entertaining, more authentic, more relatable, and tell things through stories. So even if I have to teach a little bit, which I don't love doing, I can do it through stories and through case studies and testimonials and things like that. So, yeah.
I'm so bad. I have to do the same thing. I was looking at what I'm doing, and I want to work much harder at doing workshops
Yeah.
because I might as well
Mhm.
just go for it.
Yeah.
Second thing, I tell myself, I spent, 15 years as a school teacher and 25 as a martial arts instructor in front of people. What am I afraid of?
Right.
You know?
Totally. You've already done it. Yeah.
Yep.
And I think
So
also
let's move.
nowadays, people, especially now in 2026, people are wanting more experiences. I think that's kind of
Yeah,
the way we're sort of going. And so the webinar thing, or even like a thing where it's just sort of like one way going where I'm just going to teach, 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 teach the whole time. I don't think people want as much. They kind of want more of that workshop feel. They want to do something. They want kind of something tangible they can take away. They want to know a
that's it.
how, something they can actually do, not just all the whats. Sometimes people say, I'm
Yeah,
going to teach you how to do all this. And this is how you do it. I'm just going to give you the high level names of
yeah,
what they are of the process, but they're not actually telling you how to do it, which I get you have to pay for, but you could give them a little something, something, you could give
yeah.
them a little bit of something that they can take away, and they want it more of an experience, I think, than just being a talking head talked at all the time.
That's exactly what I was thinking. You need to have some, real teaching in it, and you need to be able to show the impact and show the experience and show the other things that helps them to be able to do it. Like they always say now, it's about transformation, but it really is. Your workshop is there to help you transform them. If they can see transformation, look at how much further they came down the buyer's funnel.
Right.
They're that much closer to saying, "Oh, that's exactly what I need." Right now, we're at speed round. And so this is just three quick questions, and you should be able to handle them. And it's just meant to be fun. So,
Right.
are you ready for it?
I am. Let's go. Let's do it.
Okay. What's one tool you can't live without in your business?
One tool?
Yes.
My Google Calendar.
Very good one. What's the biggest hiring mistake you see over and over again?
Ooh. Um, hiring someone that's not a fit in your company, that doesn't have like the same sort
Mhm.
of values and sort of, I guess, maybe working mindset of it. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, and last one. What's one piece of advice for someone about to hire their first tech support person?
Ooh. Um, Make sure that they can prove what they've done before, I would say.
Hmm.
Because there are
I'm
some
going to
people out
throw
there that don't deliver, And so you want to make sure
Yeah.
that they have delivered before and that they can deliver for you in the timely manner that they say they're going to. I've heard a lot of nightmare stories about that where 6 months later, nothing's been delivered. So,
Right. Well, I'm going to throw a bonus one in there because I like how you're answering these. You're doing a really good job, if you don't mind. The
yeah.
bonus one is, what's the best investment? Ads, teams, or systems?
Ooh. I'm tied between teams and systems.
I knew you would be.
Good one. I think maybe you got to have the systems before you bring the team on. So maybe that's like the better first investment.
Awesome answer. For me, it was ads, teams, or systems, and my struggle was ads, systems, ads, systems. I'm an ads guy. You got to have a system before you can make your ad work.
Right.
So what's a system? So, yeah, so we're at the end of this, and I'm really enjoying this interview. I wanted to make sure you have an opportunity to talk about some of the things that you have happening. I know you have a giveaway to give to the listeners. Tell me a little bit about what kinds of things that you have that you can offer, and where can we find you on the internet, and everything that you want to tell us about yourself, because I think you're going to be a big help to people that are listening to this.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So you can find me. The best place is my website. It's launchpartnerpro.com. And in there, yeah, kind of like lists out all the different things I have. I do project management and that kind of services. And you can book a call with me there if you're interested in it. Yeah, I like to call myself a launch partner. That's very much what I feel like when I work with people. I feel like I'm very much their partner is part of the business and we're walking towards the common goal of getting them launched. And so that's really kind of like the ethos I like to have.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so I help coaches predominantly and help them launch their programs and events. So yeah, I can be your project manager and hold you accountable to all the things that need to get done, but I can also give you a launch team, do that done for you tech, help being with the production of your event, and even help with sales support. We can give you that team. That's kind of how I help everybody.
That's the coach's checklist for hiring trustworthy tech pros. Is that your giveaway?
Yes, yes, that's my gift. So, because it can, like we just talked about, you've heard probably some nightmare stories of people hiring somebody and then them not delivering, and then some people doing it themselves. The tech is very scary and overwhelming, and they don't want to do it. So, if you are going to hire someone, you definitely want to be prepared for it. And it kind of sends a little bit controversy because usually someone's like, you're in a sales call where they're trying to sell you their tech solutions, if you will, right? But really, you're hiring them into your team, even though it's temporarily. So this is a checklist that prepares you, tells you all the things that you
Yeah.
need to do to prepare for that meeting, and the questions that you can ask, and also some red flags that you can look out for. So that make sure that you hire the right person who's going to deliver the best and give you the best value, so that you can get launched.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Last question of all, and it is, what's one thing I should have asked you that I missed?
Ooh. Um. Oh, I don't know. This was such a fun conversation. I don't know if there was anything. I feel like we touched on all the different things. We talked about my podcast, my book, what I do, and even how to get in touch with me. So I don't know if there was anything. That was great. Thank you.
Thank you, because I can tell when I'm excited, because as soon as I'm excited, I'm going off the script and I'm like, oh, I gotta go over here, do something on my script so that I get myself back in line. Otherwise, we're going to be gone for another 25 minutes. I really enjoyed this conversation
Thank
today
you.
with you, Lisa. At this point, I don't have anything else. So, do you have any questions for me or anything before we get off?
No, this was so awesome. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I love that we're here, especially in the beginning stages. I feel so honored that I'm one of the first sort of group of people that you're interviewing. And I'm so proud of you for doing it. Well done. It can take a lot of work, especially with all the editing and everything. So yeah, thank you so much for having me on your show. And this was so much fun. I really enjoyed it.
That's what I enjoy doing, that stuff. So it's like I got to stop what I enjoy and I got to be out in front of the business.
Hmm.
You were hitting home with me here, digging, and I was feeling what you were saying. So I will be in contact after this. And so, Elisa, thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you so much.
Today's guest has been Elisa Bogarts. Elisa, this has been such an eye-opening conversation, especially for anyone who's been feeling stuck or frustrated with their marketing results. What you've really uncovered today is that sometimes it's not your marketing that's broken, but instead it's the system and support behind it. If you're listening and realizing that hiring the wrong people or not having the right back-end setup might be holding you back, Elisa has an incredible resource to help you out. It's called the Coach's Checklist for Hiring Trustworthy Tech Pros. and it's designed to help you confidently find, vet, and hire the right support so you can stop guessing and start building a team that actually moves your business forward. You can find Elisa on her website at www.launchpartnerpro.com, where you can also find her podcast. Elisa is also on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. Check out the show description for her links. And don't forget to pick up your free gift, Elisa's checklist, at www.launchpartnerpro.com/hiringtechpros. Elisa, thank you again for sharing your expertise and giving our audience such practical and actionable insights. And to everyone listening, if this episode helped you identify a hidden bottleneck in your business, then you're already one step closer to flipping your marketing flops into real results that actually drive success. Until next time, I'm Joe Sales Jr. Keep testing, learning, and flipping those marketing flops into successes. Flip Your Marketing Flops is the digital marketing and lead generation podcast where you can listen in on the latest digital marketing and lead generation trends and tips through conversations with marketing professionals. We're helping service businesses and entrepreneurs produce better marketing results. Tune into our latest episode on your favorite listening platform. Get involved with the show. There are many ways to do so. You can email me here at the show. Just use joe@flipyourmarketingflops.com. If you enjoy the content on this channel, let me know. If you have a digital marketing topic you would like to know more about, tell me about it. And if there is someone you think I should have on the show, just give me their name. You are crucial to the success of this show, just as I want to be helpful in the success of your business, and I want to give you information you want to know about. So be sure to subscribe to this channel, hit the like button, and comment below. For more information, visit flipyourmarketingflops.com. Remember, every marketing flop is just a lesson waiting to be flipped.